Welcome back from the break. We are talking about the power of motivation, and of course you're watching Family Hour here on Church of Uganda Family TV, coming to you from the heart of Kampala on the 13th floor of Janan Luwum Church House. That is prestigious to us. We are attracting attention. Now that Dr. I cut you short when you are talking about attention, we start from there.
Well, I was basically unpacking the ways in which we can help people feel inspired,
Yes.
Motivated, so that they can give their best results. And I talked about acceptance, appreciation, approval, admiration, and I was just going on to the point of approval when you asked me to take a break. But we were talking about attention. We had talked about approval already.
Yeah.
Many times when people do good things, when they produce results, they need attention. This means that you will listen to them carefully when they speak or when they want to talk as a leader. You'll give attention to what it is they're raising, the issues they're raising. Whenever people are listened to, they feel valuable and they also feel important just because they're being listened to. So when you pay attention to another person, you are basically paying value to that person. So this is why leaders have more to have ears. Leaders are supposed to have ears to questions from people, to issues that people are raising, and they should come up with solutions. To even comments people make. Many a times when we make presentations, people have so many comments, so many issues, and so many questions. So we need to listen in and be able to respond back. Even those people we are leading have so many questions which need to be answered. So we need to take time and ask questions and understand the perspectives of the different people whom we are leading. And then maybe finally it's important for us to build and also to maintain trust among the people. Because if we don't have trust among the people, then our leadership is highly questionable. We need to lead people who have built trust on us. And this is the final key to motivating and inspiring others. Because in annual surveys, what constitutes a great workplace is that the people normally have these ingredients. They trust their leader, and trust makes employees feel safe and even secure about their work. So if a leader, you trust your people, then they're able to feel safe and secure at work. One writer, Stephen Covey, wrote that, but to be trusted, you must first be trustworthy. That was Covey. Are you trustworthy? As leaders, we need to be trustworthy, so that the people we are working with basically also build that trust in us, and they're able to produce and feel motivated to work. To motivate and inspire teams, you must create a high trust environment. We need to build an environment where trust is one of the very significant ingredients, because the more you build high-performing teams, the more results will achieve, and the more people will be entrusted to you in order to achieve even greater tasks ahead. So for me, I look at these keys that's very significant in order to make people feel wanted, feel needed, and they're able to make a significant contribution to their institutions. If they're appreciated, if they're approved, if they're trusted, if they're wanted, if whatever it is they do is praiseworthy, and that there is that trustworthiness also on part of the leader, and it spills over to the teams the leader is basically handling or dealing with.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Diana. We look at motivation as the power that keeps you moving at a workplace. And maybe if I can bring that. And Doctor referred to some leaders who will water down whatever you do. Like even when you put in all your efforts and you feel you're doing your best to achieve, they'll still look out for the faults and maybe provoke you basing on that. But how can you keep motivated even when you get negative feedback, even when you feel your efforts are not appreciated, even when you feel rejected? Is there a way you can keep motivated and moving to still stay focused on the trail?
Well, you always have to deal with negative feelings that come. Life is going to be full of them. People are not going to appreciate you. Not everyone is going to sing your praises like your parents will.
Yes.
And even sometimes your parents will not sing your praises. Because as you grow up, you realize that you're going to run into stumbling blocks. You're going to run into what we call real life situations. And workplaces are not any different. Because your value systems differ, you're going to have friction, you're going to have a disagreement, you're going to have bosses who don't see the best. In fact, many times we expect people to reward us for results, actually reward us for effort. And yet the world tells you that we reward for results and not effort. And that's a big deal. So for someone who's just beginning in the workspace, they will have more effort than they will have results. And when they don't see the results and you are getting negative feedback, it's detriment. It puts a damp on you as a person. And so what you need to do in that space is, first of all, one, learn how to channel negative feelings. Learn how to deal with them. Because it's going to happen to you whether you like it or not. I remember my very first workspace. I walked into one of the government offices at that time, and I was just fresh from LDC, Law Development Center. And so I was going to intern in this particular position. And so I walked in, and I expected that they would appreciate a younger person, a more agile person, someone who knew what they were doing. I had all these dreams. I'd never, for lack of a better word, I'd never suffered in life. I'd never gone without school fees. I do not know that life, to be fair. And so when I walked into this workspace, the lady who was the boss then, very first day, gave us very negative feedback. And I think she was very brash in everything that she did. Then at lunchtime, when she forced us to go for fellowship, I got very confused. I said, is this a believer, really, with the way that she spoke to us? And so my first experience, my first day at work was very dire. And I went home and spoke to my parents. And I remember trying to unload what I had experienced that day. But because my parents had been in the workforce for quite some time, and the difference in generations, their first response was to shut me down and tell me that is life, get over it. Now, many years later, I've had younger cousins that have come home, and a few weeks ago I had one of them comment about they had walked into a workspace that they had desired, that they had longed for, and they thought they were God's gift to life. And so they had an experience that wasn't quite nice. And so in the middle of the family altar, we were asking people how their week was and prayer requests, and they expressed their what had happened at work, and the same arrow and the same knife that came for me over 15 years ago also came for them. And I remember telling them, no, back down. The person is not telling you that they cannot work. They're expressing the hardship they have found, because it's one thing to get in to do school. Workspace is very different. You're going to meet people who don't sing your praises. You're going to meet people who don't think you're God's gift to eternity. You're going to meet people who will tell you a truth without caring how you feel. And that's a very difficult place to be in. And so I say to you, especially if you're joining the workforce, learn how to process those negative feelings, because if you take them and internalize them, what you're doing is creating negativity around you that will demotivate you. And so the first thing is find an outlet, and sometimes that outlet means talking to a mentor, to give you perspective on what happened. Sometimes that outlet means going to church and speaking to somebody or crying out to God. Sometimes that outlet also means journaling and writing a book. Sometimes you need that outlet also looks like running, doing a sport to remove those feelings. You need to find a way to deal with those feelings, because they will come. And when you can deal with them, then you have pushed out the negativity, you're giving space for positivity. And so that's the first thing that you do, especially if you're in the workspace. The other is to learn from what you experience. It's true, not everybody is going to sing your praises, but there is also a lesson in every hardship that you find in life. There is a lesson for you, especially if you're a Christian. There is something that God is training you for, or something God wants to deal with in your character. And it's prudent for you that you actually accept the season that you are in and accept the teaching and the training that you are going. Learn to extract the lemon juice and add sugar to it. Because when you can do that, then you can take it. And when you take it and learn from it, you will be better for it. The reason I could spare my younger cousins the harshness that was coming on them is because 15 years ago I went through it. So I knew what it felt like to walk in on the first day and say, people are impossible. Not knowing that you're also impossible.
Because you're a person.
Yeah. And so I was able to say, no, he's not saying he cannot work. He's saying it was a hard first day. And I know that feeling very well. And so what you're doing in such an aspect is for that person is learn from those. Learn so that you can spare the people that are coming up after you. Learn so you can lift up somebody else. And so those are some of those things will help you when it comes to the place of motivation. So when you have dealt with the negative feeling, and then you have found a way to channel it, and then you have found how to deal alongside with, then you come to the question of how do you stay motivated. You stay motivated by looking for the factors that give you a reason to go on in life. If that is your faith, hold on to your faith. If that is a mentor who speaks to you once in a while, take time, make time to have a discussion with that mentor. If what motivates you is being around family, then never walk away from the place of family. When we get older, and especially if we have lived at home for quite some time, and we have grown up, we don't want to take instructions from our parents at some point. I still find it very funny when I go home and my mother calls me and says, get that, come and help me get that from there. I roll my eyes without her seeing still. I want to remind her, so my position these days is so and so. And so then you remember you're a child in this home. Regardless of how old you are, you will still come and pick something that's there. So, but if it is family that gives you motivation, don't lose sight of that. Go home, stay around the things that give you motivation, because that is how you are able to deal with the negativity that's around you.
Okay, thank you so much, Diana. Doctor, there, especially if you're maybe applying for a job, sometimes there are conditions that are attached on the description that you should be self-motivated, things like that. And we've also seen very many workplaces having motivation as part of their core values, motivation and all that. I mean, everyone has their own interpretation of motivation in a workspace. But how do we look at motivation as a vision?
I think motivation is a very, very powerful tool in everybody's life, because when you look at it as a vision, it is something that can be that driving force to keep somebody up and running, to keep someone going the extra mile, because there is that component of motivation at his workplace which is impacting on his own work. But motivation as a vision is directly linked to one's personality. Some people basically aspire to act and react on certain issues differently, like the example you previously gave. There are some leaders who are on a fault-finding mission. New people have come to the institution. Instead of welcoming them with a smile and making them feel comfortable and good, you are busy giving them the first impressions, which are negative. Yeah. But a vision is birthed in the mind of the heart. It is about somebody's personality. If he has a vision for an institution, and he wants that institution to move from one level to another, then he needs to do something about the people whom he or she is working with. It's a dynamic, fire-breathing dream or something that has never been done. It needs to be done. That's the vision. You have this dream. You have this destination. How can you get to that destination? You want to increase or improve the quality of the life in your organization in order to make sure they're delivering, and they're delivering not anything but results, tangible results. So the visionary leader basically is one person who is normally stuck with a solution that will make things better. And how he communicates this solution to the people is basically first by motivating the people before they can appreciate even what it is he's seeing as a leader and how they can help him be able to achieve or get to that destination. In short term, it's like this tiger on the loose, and it is roaming or sitting wherever it pleases. But if you are to take control, then you have got to make it comfortable. You've got to motivate it and encourage it and say, well, you can even be here, we'll get you food, put here, and then you get control. So a leader is able to have that control over the people he's leading when he has motivated, encouraged them, and taken that control of them. Because motivation actually helps to mature people. It helps people grow, like the examples Diana gave. I also shared once an example here that when I was with the Minister of Works, I had an assignment to do in Soroti. And the PS had said, I take 3 nights per diem and go to Soroti and carry out this assignment. And I said, but Soroti has aeroplanes. Why don't I fly there? So for him, because they needed the assignment done quickly, he called the chief flying instructor and said, come for Patricia in Entebbe so that she can be able to implement this assignment. Well, I went and did the assignment successfully, but I came back different. Patricia, flying, then I'm highly valued and needed and wanted. A twin engine picked me, Patricia Achan Okiria, from Entebbe and took me to Soroti. Within a short time, I did my work, came back with results. Edwin, from that time, I used to go to office at 8. I now started going at 6:30. At 6:30. Because I was fired up to go the extra mile. I knew I was needed, I was wanted, I was valued by this organization. So motivation matures. It matures individuals. It is assigned a practical direction, and this is now the vision we're talking about. A practical direction. Where do you want to take this organization in 5 years' time? How are you going to get there? You have to have a motivated team, fired up to move. I'm not saying leaders fly your people, but there are certain small things you can do.
It wouldn't be a bad idea.
You can make people happy and motivated to go the extra mile. And those who surround it become acquainted with and hopefully identify with it. Some of those things they begin identifying themselves with. They feel courageous to take certain decisions. And leadership that motivates and relates, holds the lash on the tiger, is able to manage and control the tiger. You motivate, you have control over the people. You can tell them, let's go right, let's go left, let's take the speed, let's slow down a bit, and you will see things moving. Where he or she leads the vision, tiger would basically be following, because then he is in control. How people relate to it will depend on how it is introduced. How do you introduce these issues? How do you introduce whatever it is you're bringing to change the lives of the staff in order to have them deliver the results you expect them to do? Because people are motivated by many things. You heard about the other carrot, money, salary increment. Some people are motivated by guilt. When he feels guilty out of something, then he's convicted to improve and be a better person. That one also works. And then some people, it's by recognition. You make someone feel important. You say, hey, if I'm important, then I think I have to demonstrate this importance by going a mile ahead. But the best motivation is basically to appreciate people and value them for the things they're doing and make them feel needed, make them feel wanted, make them feel appreciated and valued in their organization. Thank you.
Wow. But Doctor, a ticket is not a bad thing to motivate. Yeah.
Mine, by the way, was not a ticket. A real plane came.
Yes, to Soroti.
A twin engine. It
You
came
don't
to
need
Entebbe and it
You don't
took
need a
me
ticket.
to Soroti. I didn't need a ticket.
Yeah, but
I just needed to present myself and be taken. Domestic.
But there are moments where at least you need a ticket.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yes, you can give somebody you can give someone an opportunity to go out for training, even if it's 2-3 days. They come back different. Those are examples also, very good examples on how to motivate and change people. Yes.
So what happens if you do all these things and someone still remains the same? Then You even give them a ticket to go and they still remain.
I think that what that
You
person
don't renew
does,
the contract.
Oh my God.
If the person cannot change, because you look at the mission, the vision we are talking about, the vision of the organization is to take it from here to here in 5 years' time. And this person is static. When you have done all the things we have talked about, the contract doesn't get renewed.
Also
you
because
move with people
perhaps you have not found what truly motivates them. You haven't really found what motivates them. But there's always, when you do all those things, that's a lot. That's an expense on the company. It's an expense on the boss. And many of us, when we're asking for our salary, we're looking at only what we benefit. We never cost that there is electricity that we're going to use, there is water we're going to use, the overhead costs, the operation costs. We never cost that. So when I'm bargaining for my salary, I'm thinking about me. When I say I want a take home of 5.5 million, I do not care whether your turnover is 10 million shillings. I just want my 5.5. And so sometimes when we are negotiating, we don't understand that there are many dynamics to the idea that gives rise to your salary. And so in that scenario, Dr. Patricia is right. In many times, if you have done all that you can do and you can't find a way out, then you move down that road. But also when it comes to terms of motivation, because it's about the people and people are your biggest resource, you need to be very careful in life that you're finding what makes them tick. Because each of us, there's no one size fits it all. Each of us has something in us that makes us tick. So giving all of us, you may decide that you are perhaps giving everybody a time to fly out. There are some people who hate flying. Regardless of what you do, they hate flying. I have a brother who hates flying. I have friends who hate flying. The idea of flying terrifies them because they have done it, they hate it. And so when you think that that's one size fits it all and you give it to everybody, Edwin is going to be excited, Dr. Patricia is going to be excited, Diana may not be very excited about it. And so while as a boss you're counting, I have done everything I can do, you have not found what makes Diana tick. And so you need to also be careful as you're tailoring what you're doing to motivate your staff. What you're doing has to resonate with people. And so you tier it, you tailor it, you do all these things. You cut the suit according to the cloth that you have. You don't make something that doesn't work for everybody. We had individuals. Children are different. You deliver them, they all came out of your womb, absolutely different individuals. And so you need to be careful how you are working that out.
Give us your closing remarks.
Well, I perhaps want to speak to leaders who are suffering through the time of motivation, because I think my heart resonates a lot with leaders. The truth is that the buck stops with you. It never moves from anyone else. And so if it's you that needs motivation, it means that you've probably reached a block and you've reached a place that you can't overcome. And so the best thing for you to do is step back, find something that will give you an outlet to that thing that is causing that blockade, and allow you to rest, to find space forward, and then to find your spark that gets you forward. And perhaps also in many ways, because the buck stops with you, you are always responsible for the results that you have. So no one size fits it all. And you have to find that thing by testing. No one ever succeeded on the first try in many aspects. They are great because they tried and failed, but they never failed to try.
Thank you so much, Diana. Doctor, your closing remarks.
Well, I would like to encourage the leaders out there to always, because you don't give out what you don't have, so ensure that you motivate yourself, make your work enjoyable before you can make others enjoy that work. It's important to have a motivated team, because it is that team going to make you shine as a leader. It's that team going to produce output that is making you excel as a leader. And also as leaders, it's important to try new avenues, think about new innovative ways to improve the technical team you have, because if you're daring to dare where others do not dare, then that is what makes you a different leader. That's what makes you unique. So be that unique leader who your teams will believe in. May God bless you, and thank you very much for tuning in Family TV this evening.
Thank you so much, the 21st autobiographic author. And then, of course, it's been a pleasure having you following through. Yeah, motivation is really very, very important now. Esther Brinko and Patience were the team behind the production and the transmission. But of course, from the entire team and we wish you a blessed night.
Thank you.